Legend of the War here, and today we've got a Rating Your Doomstack video covering a Skullcrusher Doomstack that has some imposters in this army. So we're playing as Legion of the Gore Queen, which means we're Khorne dedicated, and we should only be able to dedicate characters to Khorne. However, he has a dedicated Nurgle Exalted Hero in here, and a undivided Chaos Sorcerer of Metal. So how did he manage the Exalted Hero of Nurgle? This one here is definitely possible. Playing as Legion of the Gore Queen, you can recruit wizards. I think you can only recruit metal and fire. The other ones, I don't... Actually, I'm not sure about metal. Yeah, just not unsure about it. But as for the Exalted Hero of Nurgle, how did he get this one in? Well, what he did was he actually loaded an Exalted Hero through the load character mechanic from a different campaign, which means it was a little bit expensive, except that you can dedicate characters at like rank 5. So he may have played a Fecundite campaign, got an Exalted Hero, dedicated to Nurgle, saved that character, and then loaded it into this one. I don't feel like that disqualifies this army from a rating, because that's part of a game mechanic that I use as well. Some people will probably turn up their nose to it, and to those people, I would just say, just don't do that. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. This army is hardly the most efficient thing I've ever seen, so it's just a vanity army. But yeah, that's how he managed to do it. He's also got a few other heroes in here, a few Exalted Heroes of Khorne. That's fine. I guess they're just mostly there to put in the stand and die, which is really useful. And we're going up against four armies. They're not full stacks. But if you combine them all together, it's about 3 full stacks. This seems to be pretty strong in auto-resolve. It is on very hard battle difficulty, so we know the auto-resolver is being about as fair to us as it can be. Auto-resolve will lose 3 of these units. But let's just jump in and just see how it performs. Now, Skullcrushers are a bit of a unit that requires a bit of thinking and how you want to use them, because... especially in this sort of situation here, because there's multiple things that we can do, and I think most people will probably be inclined to sort of cycle charge with this kind of unit, and that's definitely not the wrong thing to do, but I think that there is actually a better way of doing this, and it might actually be the dumbest way. Sometimes the dumbest decision is actually the best one, and that is not to cycle charge, but to cram the enemy forces in on themselves. So just hear me out on this. Our speed is very low. This is one of the lowest speed cavalry units in the game. They're so low in speed that there are some infantry units that can probably run as fast as them, right? Now, the lower your speed, that also means the longer it takes to cycle charge, the more cumbersome this unit becomes. Now, they've got a good charge bonus, but that's just stats, right? The whole purpose of cycle charging is like you get out of the fight and then get back into it again to reactivate the charge bonus before the enemy have had any real chance to do anything about it. Another thing is that we're outnumbered quite significantly here. If we pull out of a fight and give the enemy a chance to reform, they'll shoot at us, which we're not super vulnerable to, but it would be better if they didn't shoot us at all. So what I'm thinking in this situation here, because the first army is so missile focused and small, the way to use this, and just see how it performs, is just throw it at the enemy and camp at their reinforcement zone, and just give their missile units and their faster units absolutely no chance to do anything. So there's some units in here that the Skullcrushers of Khorne technically aren't going to be good at, but we'll probably still beat them anyway. Things like single entities, any like anti-large infantry unit is probably not going to be ideal for them, such as like halberdiers. But these guys here have such high stats that they'll just overcome it anyway. And the more like blobbed up we are, the better these buffs and debuffs, especially the healing, is going to be. So that's the mindset behind this. But you're always going to have people agree or disagree on these sort of techniques depending on their own personal bias. Some people will just love to like micro like crazy and cycle charge, and maybe they'll get good results out of that, but I think like in this case here, we are better off like really squashing them in on themselves and using our brute strength to just prevent them from making any tactical decisions whatsoever. Now, as for the wizard, it was built into the army, so we're going to use it because it's an imposter army anyway. So he's not playing by the rules of corn, and I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm not here to judge. You know, some people will definitely turn their nose up at this. Yeah, there are some definite corn purists out there, and that's totally fine. If you're a corn purist, all the more power to you. Make your full corn army with no wizards. No problem with that whatsoever. Feel free to submit your doom stacks. But this guy clearly isn't one of them, and I'm going to rate it as such. What we're going to do here is try to cram these guys into the edge of the map as quickly as we can. Now, the kind of magic that we want to use here, I think, is Transmutation of Lead and Final Transmutation. But Final Transmutation once the heroes start coming in. But yeah, dropping down their melee attack will be good. As for Glittering Robe, nah, I don't need that. Same thing with Plague of Rust, I don't think that's very useful. We got loads of armor piercing. Let's get him in there. Don't get me wrong, we'll try and do a bit of flanking. It's not like we just charge all in right from the front. But for the most part, we want to make sure that the enemy doesn't do anything. See, this is... The AI is so dumb. They didn't even get a single volley in. They were too busy reforming constantly there. That's it, just chuck them in. Okay, we couldn't get here fast enough to be there ready for the reinforcements as soon as they came in. We rushed here as quickly as we could. If you had Lightning Strike on the Lord, we would have had a bit more time, but that's okay. Alright, let's use a regular Final Transmutation there. Alright, we mostly got here. We just got to sort of really cram them on the edge there, because that'll prevent these units here from shooting. Okay, damage-wise, we're okay. Okay, fine. Let's go. Transmutation of Lead there so that we take less damage. And really cram them in there. Give them absolutely no chance to use their units. And also, the more blobbed up we are, because we've got so many buffs in the army, the more blobbed we are, the more units will be affected by our blobs. By our AoE buffs and debuffs. And people oftentimes forget about that. You know, it's great, you know, buffing one unit, but it's even better to buff up like 5 or 10. Plus we got healing in here as well. Affecting loads of different units, and I don't think they got any of that kind of stuff going on there. This over here is not super favorable. I need to get some stuff over there.
Exalted hero of Corn. Kill for Corn. Gleam magic.
Alright, let's get one of these in there. Dish out some damage. I know overcasting Final Transmutation is maybe just a little bit more efficient, but I just don't really like doing it. Because of miscasting. I don't like miscast. I'm very much prone to it.
Chaos is magic.
I do like Transmutation of Lead. It's a relatively cheap area of effect debuff. Okay, these guys over here. See, if I pulled them out, thing is that the moment you start turning away from a fight, you start taking a lot of damage because your melee defense essentially goes down to 0. And because these guys are quite slow, they take longer to get out of a fight. So it just depends on which way you look at it. But yeah, cycle charging in Wormwood 3 is not the done thing to do in every single situation with a cavalry-based doomstack.
Skull crushers of Corn. I will rise.
Try to prevent this one here from shooting if we can. Good, the Iron Drakes didn't get a chance to shoot.
Blessings of war. Corn's fury. Dominate the world. Get to the enemy. Stop.
Could use this, but I think I'll just focus on this one here. Just dish out damage faster. Kill quicker. Kill quicker for Corn.
Blessings of war. Lord of Corn. Executed. Battle hungry. wield forces from the god of magic, exalted hero of Nurgle.
That's it. He's just given loads of them heals over there. So naturally, these ones here are in the best shape. These ones here that aren't getting the buffs are in the worst shape. That makes sense. I need to get more over here then. Give these guys a bit of a break. Or maybe I should use this. We won't get too badly hurt by it. I'm going to pull them out. And you'll see how much damage we take as we pull out.
Bringing ruin. Onward, Northmen. Spreading destruction. Skull goddess of Thor.
Go fight that. How's he doing? How about you come around over this way, help out this way, because yeah, we're weakest on this flank here. We're super strong over here. Yeah, very slow unit.
Of chaos. Glorious bloodshed.
These ones here just take out
Visit distraction.
like straggler targets. Come on, get him out of there. Taking too much damage. Lopsided damage. I don't like it. These two are roughly in the same location, so popping them both of these down at the same time will not help. And there's the army losses there. Now that is a way better result than what Auto Resolve would have yielded, and I think I used this army in exactly the way that the person who sent it in intended it to be used, rather than hamstringing it to see how good it can do when you give the enemy the advantage, which I will do when the enemy that we're sent up against I feel like is inappropriate, like too weak. Because I do get criticized a fair bit by like not fighting these battles exactly the same way, but you got to keep in mind, and I do mention this all the time, that not all of these battles are equal. Sometimes people get me to test their armies up against something that's way too easy, or just not particularly strong, and so I'll give myself a disadvantage. Sometimes people send me up against something that is too strong for their army to handle, in which case I will cheese the crap out of to try to get the most efficiency out of it. And sometimes people will send in something that is just right, which I feel like was the case here. This was just the right kind of army to go up against. This is the right faction. You know, you are going to fight this faction. These kind of units. And possibly in those sort of numbers. Much better result than Auto Resolve. Much better. Now, we wouldn't have got anywhere near those kind of results if we hadn't rushed in there, I think. Got good kills on them. The battle didn't last very long. You know, 3 full stacks destroyed in 10 minutes. It's pretty quick. The damage is not so bad. So we had good synergy, good teamwork going with the wizard, with the hero of Nurgle. I feel like Khorne and Nurgle gel really well together because they compensate each other's weaknesses. And they don't hate each other, so I'm like, I can be a bit forgiving of it. You know, if you had a Slaanesh character in here, that wouldn't make any sense whatsoever because they don't complement each other. And they hate each other. It's the same thing with, like, Nurgle and Tzeentch. You wouldn't have, like, a half-half Nurgle and Tzeentch army. It doesn't make any sense. Then we could do this for replenishment. Cool. Now let's have a little bit of a look at this and see exactly what he's done. But yeah, I guess the thing is when playing with the Warriors of Chaos is that you definitely will get purists come in and be like, oh, it's not pure Khorne, 0 out of 10. And that's fine. If you want to call it 0 out of 10, I'm not here to judge that kind of purism. I don't really like the whole no true Scotsman fallacy kind of thing. I don't like it. I think arguments of purity are a waste of time. Because in many ways, I think everything in life and in this game has a corruption point. Everybody will corrupt at some point. You know. So I think arguments of purity are a waste of time. So I usually don't waste my time with them. But, you know, I accept that some people will take that stance, and I'm fine with it. But I think this army works quite well. It's not overly expensive. It would be fairly difficult to make this because if we have a look, what's required to get a Skull Crusher unit, right? Can't get this stuff out of the way. In order to get a Skull Crusher unit, right, from Marauders, right, you get a Marauder of Khorne, you have to dedicate it to Marauder Horseman of Khorne. Then it has to become... Oh no, you could go to Chaos Warrior of Khorne first if you wanted to. Then you go to Chaos Knights of Khorne and then become a Skull Crusher. I wonder how much experience is required from it. Let me just have a look. Those are chosen, so I can't really check from there. Oh, he's only got 2 armies. Alright, let me just raise an army really quickly and have a look at this, because I'm just curious, because I haven't done this myself. Right, we recruit a Marauder unit of Khorne, that'll do. And let's see what is required to make this happen. So to upgrade this, you have to get to rank 5 first. Right, then, once you're at rank 5... Alright, so now I need a Warrior of Chaos. There should be one here. Let me just check. Come on, are these notifications in the way? Warrior of Chaos. There isn't one here. Alright, I'll check somewhere else. Where we might have one over here. Usually you'll find one. Oh, here we go. We got a Chaos Warrior here. Can take that. Dedicate... Out of the way. You can dedicate this one to Khorne. So he got to rank 5 and then you dedicated him to Khorne. Right? Well, I mean as a Chaos Warrior. And then you've got to get to rank 6. Right, to get a Chaos Knight. Now where can I find a Chaos Knight? I just want to see how many ranks up you need to get in order to get a Skull Crusher. It takes a while. There's no Chaos Warriors, sorry, Chaos Knights here. Just having a look to see where if there might be some hanging around that I can just auto-recruit. I don't think there are. No, I don't think so. So yeah, you're not just going to be able to recruit Skull Crushers from anywhere. Okay, here's one. There's one there. So, we grab the Chaos Knight there. So this is probably the quickest way to get a Skull Crusher. You get a Chaos Knight. Then you... Oh man, you already had those notifications. I got it. And then you need to get to rank... Yeah, you need a Chaos Knight of Khorne to get to rank 8 to get to Skull Crusher. Now that takes ages to get to rank 8. A really long time. So... I mean, you can start from Marauder and work your way up, so it's not necessarily impractical, but getting to this point will take your campaign a long, long time. Like, these guys would have been fighting for a very long time. The quickest way I think you can get there is to start with a Chaos Knight, which, you know, this was the only region that I could find that even had them, and it only had 2 of them, so, yeah, getting this army quickly, not really going to happen. But, you know, for turn 149, you got a full stack of them. That's, you know, not impossible to have more than that as well. So it's not impractical. As for Hero of Nurgle, right? So going over that, seeing how we're going to go about that. If I was to recruit a Exalted Hero, right? Having a look at this one. When we Path to Glory, we can only mark it to... No, this guy here is automatically exalted to Khorne. Let me have a look at this. Right, these ones here are already recruited to Khorne, and these ones here are just the regular exalted heroes, right? So this one here, yeah, he can only devote to Khorne. But what you could have done, this is what he did, I think, is he loaded up a I haven't saved a character from another campaign. There's nothing stopping me from doing that now, actually. If I can go find my old Bellicor campaign, I definitely have some. Oh, how am I going to find it? Okay, it's, oh my god, it was a long time ago. Well, it's a few months ago. Okay, so Bellicor, it'll be around here. Was that my campaign? That's my campaign there. Yes. Yes, that's my campaign there. So this is the campaign that I live streamed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this campaign here. Oh, I also just realized that that campaign was not a legendary, so I don't need to send the save file back. We're just doing a little bit of testing, see how this works, see how he did it, see if it's if I don't consider it cheating if he's using the game mechanics that allows you to do this kind of stuff. I don't consider it cheating if he's like using mods or console commands. But again, arguments of purity. You know, some people will. Everybody draws the line at a certain point, and I'm not here to tell you where that line is, but I'll show you how to do it. That's my job, if that makes sense. I'm not here to judge or morally arbitrate how you should play your campaigns. Do whatever you want. But there'll always be moral arbiters that are going around, you shouldn't be doing this. You know? I just shrug whenever I see that stuff. Alright, I know I've got thingy over here. Yeah, Azazel. So if I take this dude here and I save him, okay, and then I go back to the corn one, yeah, it's gonna have that battle again, but I'll just auto-resolve it, because we're just here to test out how we did it. It doesn't need the save file back. So if we save that, if we can do this with the Nurgle one, that means we can do it with other characters as well, because in terms of Exalted Heroes, the Nurgle ones are actually better than the ones of Khorne because of the healing. They're actually just better all around. And that also means you could have gotten a Wizard of Tzeentch. And that would have meant that instead of an undivided wizard that is reducing the Khorne authority, it's reducing Nurgle authority. And who cares? Because you don't have a Nurgle army. I don't know about saving and loading. Let me just pull back from that. We already want it. If they want to pursue us, whatever. Okay, cool. So just get back to that point.
Play this game on my side, and the reward.
So I'm just trying to figure out how he did this, because I didn't know that this was possible until I saw it. You know, getting a Nurgle character. Because if you can do it with the Legion of the Gore Queen, it means you could do it with the other factions as well. So, for example, if you're playing at Tzeentch, you could load a Nurgle Exalted Hero in your army. Not that you would necessarily do that, because they sort of hate each other. But if you're playing as Nurgle, maybe you'd want to hire a character of Khorne or Slaanesh, maybe? Maybe? Or if you're playing as Slaanesh, getting a Nurgle character, Nurgle healer could be good. Alright, so then we're coming up over here, and we are loading. Ah, there he is! Yeah, but this is why you'd probably not want to do it. That's pretty expensive, but there's my dude from the other campaign. That's how he did it. That's how he did it. I didn't know you could do it. Yeah, cool. Cool. Alright, so let's do the overall rating with this now. Where is he? Where is he? So practicality, I'd say it's not impractical because, you know, you recruit marauders and then just level them up throughout your campaign. It's just time consuming to do that, but that's kind of just how the Warriors of Chaos work. It requires a lot of victories in order to get Skull Crushers. I mean, a lot. So it's not necessarily impractical, but it's not super practical either. They are very strong units. In terms of strength, I'd say it's medium-high. It's not 10 out of 10 for strength, because I just know that there are some things that this is not going to do very well against. It's not going to be amazing in sieges. It's not great in blobs. It was okay in that particular blob, but that's because I dictated that it would be, sort of, because of all the bonuses and the fact that the units weren't that strong. But there are some instances where blobs is not ideal. Cycle charging is not the best for them. So going up against really fast anti-large cavalry like Wood Elves could be a big problem for them. So it's not the best in every single situation. In terms of ease of use, it varies. It's not the most difficult army to use, but cavalry armies always are at least somewhat micro-intensive. I think the hero choices are correct. Whether or not you want to put a wizard into your army, it's entirely up to you. I don't have a problem with it. This guy here is... Yeah, this guy's undivided. Yeah, Khorne Authority. And if we have a look at the Khorne Authority in this army, look, it's already at 10 anyway, so even though it's minus off 1, it didn't matter this guy here wasn't dedicated to Tzeentch, but we know that we could get one dedicated to Tzeentch, and that would give him barrier and maybe some reduced cost on his spells, making him even better, but that's entirely up to you how you want to go about it. It'd be pretty funny if you loaded in a Tzeentch Demon Prince to command your Khorne army. I don't know if that's possible. I'll maybe look into that, but that's interesting how you can make sort of imposter, put imposters into your army through the load character mechanic, which is an interesting mechanic that I think some people do consider it cheating. But I think the whole point of it is that with Warhammer 3, you're supposed to mix and match your armies how you see fit. And if you can find some rules around certain restrictions, then all the more power to you. Anyway, that's the end of this one here. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to subscribe. We're only 700 subscribers away from hitting our goal. So I'm not going to push it too much today because we're pretty much on track. Anyway, it's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.